All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's been a very peaceful and a very calming beginning to our event. And it's feeling like there's a sense of positivity in this hall. And I'm feeling wonderful, and I hope truly all of you are as well. With this, I think it's time we get started with our first session for the day. I'm sure you're all very excited. Up next, we dive into a critical topic that affects every organization, day in and day out. We all know that cyber attackers don't sleep, and unfortunately, alert notifications alone won't stop them. The key lies in how we respond. This session, Attackers Don't Sleep, Neither Does MDR, will take us beyond the buzz of alerts and into the world of managed detection and response. Of course, I'm sure everybody's aware, MDR, a powerful way to detect threats early, defend with expert-led action, and defeat even the most advanced attacks without burning out your internal teams. So get ready to discover how MDR can become your organization's around-the-clock defense system. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Ravindra, Baviskar, Director, Sales Engineering, Sophos India and SAARC, as we explore how to stay ahead in the fight against cyber threats, even while the rest of the world sleeps. Let's please welcome our speaker to the stage with a huge round of applause. बहुत-बहुत स्वागत है आपका, Mr. Ravindra.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to having you with our opening session for the day.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. All right. So let me start by asking you a simple question. When do attackers rest? Do they have weekends? Do they have holidays like Christmas? Actually, they don't. The hard truth is, your 8x5 security teams are not enough to stop 24/7 threat landscape. Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Ravindra Baviskar and I'm working as a Director Sales Engineering here at Sophos. And today I am here to talk about managed detection and response, that is MDR, which is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity today. Because when attackers don't sleep, neither should your defenses. You have been hacked. I'm sure no one out here wants to see this message in your organization. But then something that sort of happens, the biggest questions you get, how did they enter? Did my tool fail? What is the root cause analysis? And out of all, the most important question you might be having is, in spite of heavily invested into various cybersecurity tools, I'm still vulnerable to cyber attack. Is there anything missing in my approach? Well, we are going to talk about that approach later on, but then let's see exactly how this ransomware attack happens at first place. And this is a real story, a real case, where our incident response team managed to investigate and provide a root cause analysis to the customer. Here, adversaries managed to get in using VPN, using valid credentials of user, maybe obtained through a phishing or the credentials available on the dark web. Unfortunately, the machine was not protected. There was no MFA installed, so it was very simple and easy hack for the adversary. What next adversary would have done? Then attacker immediately tried to establish the another ways of communication with that particular endpoint in case user changes the password or VPN connection has been disconnected, right? They want to have a persistent connection. And to do that, they might install some malware, C2 communication, or any legitimate software available on your environment like AnyDesk, AMAdmin, TeamViewer to hide themselves or to remain undetected. Next thing attacker would have done is, and what we call this, leveraging all those tools available in customer environments, is leaving off the LAN technique, and that's exactly what attacker uses. Next thing attacker will try to do is do the lateral movement to find out the servers, especially the domain controller. And they did that. They scan IP ranges, find networks, find servers, and this time they installed a powerful tool called Mimikatz, or rather Cobalt Strike. Right? And then they tried to install Cobalt Strike and on all the server farms which customer has. Fortunately, all those servers protected with endpoint protection blocked Cobalt Strike, but there was one server which was not protected where Cobalt Strike got installed, and now attacker has access to that server as well. Next thing they will try to do is, they will try to steal credentials, reach out to domain controller, maybe using Mimikatz or LSAS dump, and then once they have admin credentials, next thing they will try to do is exploit the data before launching the final ransomware attack. And to launch the final ransomware attack, they will use GPO, Active Directory, maybe PS executable, and they will install that ransomware exe on all the systems, including endpoints and server. But then all those systems which has latest endpoint protection software installed will block that ransomware, but the bottom two machines, one on the endpoint side and one on the server side got encrypted because they were not protected. But then that's not the end of an attack. What happened next? The two machines which you can see at the bottom are not just encrypted, they are still encrypting. Almost all the variants today, of ransomware variants today available, will try to find out the map drive in your environment. And in this environment, this particular machine has map drive of that server, that bottom server has a map drive of that particular server, and maybe that server has a map drive with this particular endpoint. And with this, those ransomware exe running on unprotected system managed to encrypt the entire infrastructure sitting remotely, and that's what we call it as remote ransomware, right? And let's see how Sophos protects remote ransomware. There's a small video. Let's play that.
So all of Defender and stuff has been turned off. We have a folder called Data1 with a whole bunch of documents in. There you go, they're real documents. And over here, we can see that we've got two map drives, two different other servers. So Data2 and Data3, both on different servers. And they have the same documents in as well. So if we have a look in this one, you can see exact same files. There's 1,000 files in each folder, Data1, Data2, Data3, all the same files, about 500 megs worth of files. And we're going to go and take a Lockbit ransomware executable. This is one from 2021, so it's nothing new. All vendors detect this. They all know about it. There's nothing special about it. And we're going to get it down onto this unprotected machine here, and we're going to run it in a minute. First of all, just have a quick look. So the other two servers here, so that one at the top there, that's protected by Sophos. You can see the files in it, and then the one at the bottom there, that's protected by Microsoft Defender. I'm not having a go at Defender here. You could pretty much put any vendor on there you like, and the attack will still work the same way. So let's go and run the ransomware now. So you can see Lockbit being clicked on the left, loads in the task manager there, so Lockbit is now running. You can see the files in Data1 starting to get encrypted. They've got the Lockbit icon. Now if you look over in the right-hand side, you can see the encrypted files on Data2 and Data3 start getting encrypted. And this is because the mapped drives on the unprotected machine. The unprotected machine knows about these folders and is going to encrypt them. You can see the one at the bottom there, the Microsoft Defender protected machine, they're all getting encrypted. The one at the top has stopped. You can see a bunch of files started getting encrypted, but now CryptoGuard has kicked in. It's rolling the files back, so it's detected the ransomware attack. It's rolling the files back. Interestingly, Windows does pop up a message saying ransomware has been found on both machines, and yet it does very little about it. There's Sophos saying ransomware attack from the remote IP address has been blocked. So Sophos prevented the attack. The process never ran, Lockbit never ran actually on those two machines on the right-hand side. It only ran on the left-hand machine, which is why you can see it's now launched its ransom note as an application. And you can see why it had the Lockbit icons on the files, where the other machines, they didn't get that same icon or the desktop ransom note or anything like that, because it didn't run on them. However,
well, the point is not that Sophos has a remote ransomware protection, right, which no other vendor provides today, but the point is, could you have stopped this attack way before the file started encrypting? And that's the point, right? And let's revisit our ransomware scenario, but then this time, it will be a security solutions in the place, and see how can we correlate all those alerts by, again, revisiting the attack. Maybe I'll run through it quickly. Again, adversary came through VPN legitimate credentials through firewall, maybe exploiting firewall vulnerability in this particular case. There will be no alert generated, but obviously. But then once this compromised machine, attacker will try to establish another way of communication. That's exactly where firewall will generate a C2 communication. Any command and control communication, there will be alert onto your firewall. Then attacker tried to install Cobalt Strike on all those systems. If you have NDR in place, the network detection and response would have detected that malicious traffic. At the same time, when Cobalt Strike got blocked, right, it will be detected onto your firewall, and again the communication to back to your command and control will be detected by your firewall and NDR. Lastly, attacker tried to install ransomware payload on all those machines. Those alerts would have been generated on your endpoint protections and on your server protection as well, right? So there were alerts, right? We are talking about ransomware protection where Sophos has remote ransomware protection, but then we could have stopped this attack well before had anybody paid attention to those alerts. And that's exactly why we say that alert notification is not a solution. Basically, it is a starting point of a threat hunting. It just looks like a mere statement, but it has a very deep meaning into it. People think that if there is an alert which has been blocked by my product, done and dusted, I don't need to look into it. Let me give you some real-world example again. And what you can see on your screen right now is an endpoint protection alert, which says there was some malicious process detected, and it has been cleaned up by endpoint protection. Now, looking at this particular alert, you will say, that's the job of endpoint protection. It's doing its job. What about this? Again, you will see, and you will tell me that, Ravi, doesn't look anything different. Same thing is happening, maybe repeatedly. Malicious thing detected, detected, and cleaned up. The endpoint is supposed to do that particular job, nothing to worry about it. But then you should at least think about it, why attacker is trying to drop that file again and again, whether he has hands on the keyboard, whether he is running any PowerShell script, task scheduler, and that's exactly where the threat hunting is required, which we often miss. Next, on a firewall side, and look at this firewall alert. Again, very simple alert to read. Someone is trying to access AnyDesk and AMA admin, which has been blocked. Maybe firewall policy has been designed to such a way that all those remote desktop or remote admin tools has been blocked in your firewall. But then no one will look at this particular thing which says why someone is trying to access AMA admin at 3 a.m. in the morning, right? At least with threat hunting mindset, you will be able to call that user saying whether you were on the system at that particular time, and it said no, his machine is compromised, his username password has been used by bad guys. But imagine such alerts coming in from all those solutions which you have deployed, and these are the bare minimum which I'm talking about, and all those solutions generating alert, right? You will be overwhelmed with the alerts, and that's exactly where the alert correlation and injection comes in, and that's the main reason why you need a threat hunting skill set with the help of MDR, and that's exactly what MDR does. So MDR collects events and alerts from all those sources, event sources. It can be from Sophos, may not be from Sophos. So firewall, endpoint, email, cloud, NDR, identity, whatever you have installed in your environment. Collect all those sources, contextualize them, correlate them so that the MDR team can take action onto those alerts way before it becomes a breach, right? In that particular case, the things would not reach out to the encryption level, might have been blocked at the alert level itself had somebody paid attention to it. And that's exactly what MDR does. MDR is SOC as a service for you, right? If you want to build a SOC, you may require people, process, technology, and it will require time to set up. If you want your SOC to be up and running, just subscribe for the MDR, and next day on onboarding call, you will be having SOC as a service. All those threat analysts monitoring your infrastructure 24/7. They will be providing you all those threat response, and they will also give you full-scale incident response. So all those IR is already included in MDR, and the best part is you don't even need to rip and replace your existing technology investment. So whatever you have invested into, it will work with those security solutions so that you get more ROI from your existing set of solution, right? Let me walk you through a MDR threat case where our MDR team, MDR analyst managed to save customer from a credential stuffing attack, which could have been a ransomware attack if they have not stopped at there and there itself, right? And this particular attack, again, they were using Sophos firewall, Sophos endpoint protection. Attack begin again by logging into a VPN using legitimate credential. So attacker has a legitimate credential, they can easily come to your environment through VPN. So it was a legitimate activity. Only thing was the credentials were used by some attacker. And that's why we always say, nowadays, attacker don't break in, they log in because they have the username and password. But then they did not do anything for next 2 weeks. They were just sitting idle, right? Did not even generated any sort of an alert. They were just observing the customer's environment, what kind of security solutions are deployed, where they can hide themselves. After that, attacker pivoted their attack from VPN to the endpoint, which was protected by Sophos MDR, right? And then once they were on machine or endpoint protection, attacker executed a script on the endpoint. There were lots of discovery command they fired, and they tried to change passwords of most of the systems at one go. And that has triggered a detection to a Sophos XDR. Now this detection generated by XDR in MDR console was due to the Windows management instrumental command line, because that was run by the attacker remotely calling some suspicious directory and suspicious scripts. That was enough to detect and create a detection. Immediately, case was created, assigned to MDR team. MDR team started investigation, and they found that there was some malicious command run. It was not a user who was running it. It was intended by a bad guys. And then MDR team immediately start taking the response action. As a part of response action, all those indicators were blocked in Sophos firewall by the threat analyst without even asking customer to log into the firewall and block the things. And then they went on recommending customers that at least upgrade the firewall, keep it onto the latest version, and even the removing all those binaries from the endpoint which attacker managed to install. And if this alert would not been taken care by the analyst, eventually it ended up into a ransomware attack. And that's exactly where MDR helps. Now, why do customers choose MDR? What are the differentiators? I'll talk about 4 main differentiators, right? There is no endpoint lock-in. Now, today, if you talk about certain MDR players, if you want MDR services from them, you need to have endpoint protection from them, right? Whether the endpoint protection has all those protection capabilities or not, but that's a mandatory thing. That's not the case with Sophos. As I said, even if you are not using single Sophos product, you can still have SOC as a service from Sophos through MDR. But then, not to mention, Sophos has endpoint protection, and if you don't know, which is the Gartner's Leader Quadrant, in the Gartner's Leader Magic Quadrant from last 16 years. Recently, we have got the 16th-time accreditation from the Gartner. Next is unlimited incident response service. Most of the MDR vendors or SOC as a service providers has limited IR hours or no IR hours. That has to be separately purchased. With Sophos, it is included, and that too unlimited. So anything happens, they will jump onto it and investigate. Last 2 points are very critical: third-party integration and the threat intelligence. Until unless you have maximum third-party integration, right, you will not get that visibility required for in your organization. And lastly, the threat intelligence from Sophos Labs makes or helps analysts to accelerate the detection and response for the customers, which we have, I think, 38 minutes where we can detect, investigate, and remediate that particular incident. And that's the industry record time what we have. And don't go by my words, because that's exactly where the rubber hits the road, right? Customers like you has given appreciation to Sophos MDR service, not in terms of the highest rating, what you can see, but even in terms of the volume of reviews customers has taken in comparison with other vendors, is something which Sophos is very unique for. then you must be wondering whether it can take care of enterprise class customers. Well, if you have heard about Sophos, Sophos is and always doing good in SMB, mid-market, and pragmatic enterprise class of customers. If you have not heard that, we have recently acquired a company, SecureWorks. They also provide XDR and MDR services, but truly into the enterprise class customers. While we are doing the integration in the back end, but then these two leading companies, two cybersecurity powerhouse coming together, the go-to-market strategy, we can take care of user of 50 to 5,000 to 5 lakh to even more than that, right? Because SecureWorks has a platform called Aegis, which can have that capability to scale up to any level. Not only that, the threat intelligence from SecureWorks and Sophos, Sophos has Sophos Labs, SecureWorks has counter threat unit, both are coming together to accelerate the response of our MDR threat analysts which are available. And last but not the least, the expansion of the product portfolio. With Secure acquisition, we have additional products in our portfolio. Sophos already have 20 to 22 products in the portfolio, but then ITTR will get added. Next generation SIM will be getting added because SecureWorks can store logs up to 12 months, and you can extend that up to 5 years, and they can collect logs from almost every source, event source, which you have installed in your environment. It can be even switches and router as well, right? And another thing which we'll be getting as a part of acquisition is advisory services, and that is the last point which I want to discuss. Advisory services. Most of the time people ask us, what is the POC? Can you give me the POC of MDR team? That's the hard thing to do, right? POC of services is the hard thing to do, but then this is the POC of any MDR services, or I would say POC of people process technology in your organization. So with SecureWorks acquisition, we have launched advisory services, Sophos advisory services with 4 types of assessment: internal pen test, external pen test, wireless pen test, and web application penetration testing. What it does, it's not like a typical tool-based service. What they do is they get onto a call with the customer and ask customer, what is your goal? And customer will often say, I have one Active Directory, some backup, some critical server. Can you go and reach to my Active Directory admin credentials? Can you go and reach out to my backup? Whether you can reach out to those backup. Those are the goals customer can set, and accordingly, the test will be performed and the recommendations will be given. So that's exactly what we have launched recently with SecureWorks acquisition. And last but not the least, with call to the action, as I said, tools are there, tools are important, but then if you really want to have an initial assessment of your organization, we have something called threat profile assessment. So anyone interested in threat profile assessment, we would like you to just visit our booth where we do threat profile assessment free of cost for the customer, just to understand and let them aware that whether they have any suspicious domain registered, which are a lookalike domain to their existing domain squatting, whether there are some email address leaked onto the dark web, whether there are credentials exposed onto the dark web, has been used in any third-party breaches, and whether there are any exploits or vulnerabilities available in your environment as far as the external-facing assets are concerned. So this is the assessment which we can do free of cost for the customer, have initial discussion, and then propose what exactly can improve your security maturity. And to conclude, as I said, MDR is no more a luxury. It's a necessity thing today because tools are important, tools are essential, but then they cannot guarantee you 100% protection. As I said, alert notification is not a solution, it's just a starting point of threat hunting. And if you don't have in-house expertise, don't shy away, ask for the help. There are services available where they can help you to build your SOC services. And then attacker don't sleep, they so as your defenses. And last but not the least, which is a very classical saying in a cybersecurity, prevention is ideal, but detection is must. However, any detection without a response has very little value. That's it from my side. Before I conclude, I would just like to inform you, I think you must be aware, there is a lucky draw. We have an e-bike, Mehul, if I'm not wrong. E-bike, which has 25 kilometers of mileage, coverage, and it can run up to 25 kilometers per hour, if I'm not wrong. That's what the specification I have been given. It's not for the childs, by the way. You can use it. So just go to the booth, fill in the feedback form, and then there will be a lucky draw for all of you to grab that e-bike, right? And that's MDR for you, followed by the session by Dr. Gupta. I would call MDR is meditation or mind dictation and repurification, but it is managed detection and response. Thank you.